In this video, I'm going to show you why others need to hear your story, your personal story. See, are you an ambitious individual, an entrepreneur, or somebody in the service industry and you struggle to tell your personal story? Well, do you find it hard to write like about me pages without feeling like you're bragging? Well, this is the video for you. I'm Dr. K, and on this channel I get raw and real with you, the ambitious person, to help you optimize your everyday mental health, and specifically end self-criticism, the things that hold ourselves back. If you're new here, consider subscribing. So I want to jump right into this and let you know that I will be answering all the questions at the end of my little talk here. So I want to go back in time, about 9 years, about a man who, at the age of 27, was in a pretty good place. He was working for a Wall Street bank. At this point, was able to pay off his student loans, help his parents with his credit card debt, and give more back to charity than he ever dreamed possible. Yes, he was working long hours, but he figured it was something that he had to do for his overall well-being in life. Sorry, the watch went off. I mean, we're live, right? So it's muted now. So it was just something that he felt like, he was doing for the betterment of his life, except he got to a point where he really had to face the man in the mirror. And it wasn't pretty. See, it sounds like this guy had everything made, except, well, I think the picture tells everything you need to know about where I was at. I hated the man in the mirror. Absolutely hated. I hated what I saw. I hated how I felt. And I wouldn't let anybody know. See, I was 250 pounds, probably more. That's the point that I stopped measuring. But I was so ingrained in this fake it so that nobody questions me mentality. I did not want to answer the questions. I hated the questions, how are you? Not that anybody even wants the answer to that when they ask it, but I hated even getting that question because inside I wanted to tell what I was going through, but I didn't think anyone cared. So I continued to press on and just work and work. And on the weekends, I would lock myself away in my apartment and not talk to anybody. The closest friends I had didn't know what I was going through. I would keep them at an arm's length. And in fact, if you look at this picture, I mean, yes, you can see my 30th floor apartment looking over the New Jersey horizon. It was a beautiful place. But functionally, I have this tiny dinette set, which, as you can see, I never used because it's covered with stuff. And here I am taking a before picture for my first round of P90X. Now, as you can see, that is not somebody that looks very happy. That is not somebody that looks very fulfilled, despite the fact that on the surface, financially I was in a decent spot at that time and had a good job, single man in New York. Doesn't look that way here. So the reality was I was utterly lonely and utterly hopeless, and nobody knew. I suffered in silence. That changed. So in 2010, December, I saw my sister for Christmas. And then 3 months later, she had come back from college again. I went up to visit my parents. And I saw her after a 3-month span for her spring break. And she had lost 30 pounds. Her skin was the clearest I had ever seen. And she had dealt with years of cystic acne and no treatment had ever helped her. And all of a sudden, she had the most glowing skin I'd ever seen. And I was just at that point after 2 rounds of P90X and plateauing and just feeling that I'm meant to be this way. I'm just broken. Does that resonate with you? Well, that was the state I was in. But when I saw her, something lit up inside me and said, hey, if it worked for you, you're kind of genetically similar. Maybe it'll work for me. So I was just at that place that I was desperate enough to try anything. And I asked her, what did you do? And she tells me, I just changed my diet and now I eat a raw vegan lifestyle. Raw vegan? What's that? I just eat fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds uncooked as they're found in nature. And look what happened. You are crazy, but I'm going to do it. And I did. And over the course of 3 weeks, I was at the lowest weight I ever was as an adult. My life shifted, and I didn't even know what was happening to me. I suddenly felt this lifelong overweight individual. I suddenly felt like I can have the body and the health that I wanted, because I knew I was going down the path of heart disease and diabetes. And now I have a chance to lose weight and look good and feel good and maybe find a woman that I like, who likes me. Well, I just went along and ate fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds uncooked just as they're found in nature. I got into juicing, a little bit of fasting, and the weight just started coming off to the tune of 100 pounds eventually. And along the way, I would get questions from people about, hey, can you help me here, help me there? And the most inspiring one, though, was my mother, who in her 50s was working long hours. And I was really worried that we were not going to have her long at the stress that she was under. And she was 5'3" and 205 pounds. And if I took her to the grocery store, she would get upset if I didn't drop her at the front door because the extra steps to walk really hurt her feet. That was the state she was in. She asked me, after seeing my sister and myself, she was inspired and said, can you help me? I said, sure. Yeah. I got her a juicer, and 10 months later, she comes down to New York to visit me for Mother's Day, and we walk up and down the Hudson River for 15 miles. She could not walk to the grocery store and back, or through the grocery store and back, without being in immense pain. And 15 miles, it blew my mind open of what is possible at whatever age. We just don't know what we don't know, right? But she told me on that walk, Karthik, you have given me life that I did not know I had left. I cannot thank you enough. When your own mother says that, that's when you know that you need to do something else with your life, that you need to find a way to serve others, that this was the most fulfilling feeling I had ever had in my entire life. And I decided I needed to become a doctor. I needed to become the type of doctor that could spread the information that I was experiencing, that you don't have to be stuck, right? And the beauty is, I left my career. I moved across the country to Arizona, and I went to Southwest College of Naturopathic Medicine, and I transformed into a new person, because I knew as I was going there that nobody knows me. This is my chance to erase the slate and be whoever I want to be. What does Dr. Ramanan of the future look like? How does he think, behave, act? What are his routines? I designed that person, and I started living into the vision of my ideal self. And the guy that was once too shy to leave his apartment, the guy that didn't get involved in any clubs in college, was also the guy that was getting involved in student government, becoming student government president, serving on the board of trustees of the college, going out of his way to give public speeches. Like, this was not the person I was. And yet here I was walking in a new life. And best of all, with that newfound confidence, I attracted the woman who became my wife 3 months ago. So it's an incredible journey that I've been on, and I want to ask you, the viewer, and let me know, is that a story worth telling, what I went through? Let me know in the comments. Is that a story worth telling? And I want to ask you also, when we look at your life, what is that's my dog barking at the door. What is the craziest thing that you've done? The most badass thing that you've done? Or if you don't have one of those you want to answer, what is the toughest thing that you have survived? What is the toughest thing you've survived? What's the most badass thing you've done? Or what's the toughest thing you've survived? Is there a story there that's worth telling? If there is, let me know. I'd love to actually hear the story if you want to type it out. But here's my point through all of this. Did I think that was a story worth telling when it was happening? Yes and no. I didn't think it was that special. I didn't think I was really totally unique. I mean, a lot of people had lost 100 pounds. You see these transformations. I didn't really think it was that big a deal. But every year on the anniversary of my raw food adventure on April 1st, I would post a before and after picture just to give thanks to the people that allowed me to be there. My sister, my mother, my father, and my friends. And then there was April 1st, 2015. 4 years since the day my mindset and my life started to change. And I had no idea what was going to happen. I got a private message from somebody I don't know. And he said, Karthik, you don't know me. You don't know what you've just done, but later this evening, I was going to take my life. And I cried out to God for help one last time. I said, if I am meant to be here, if I'm meant to go on, if I'm meant to have any purpose in this world, please give me a sign. So this person went to the first place you would think of to get a sign to live, Facebook. I'm not quite sure why he went there, but he did. And thank goodness. He said, your post showed up first on his feed. My post showed up first on his feed. He said, I saw what you were and who you became. And instantly, I knew I was supposed to be here because I saw so many parallels between your story and mine. I'm getting emotional just thinking about it right now. I said, I saw so many parallels between your story and mine, and it was just abundantly clear that I have a reason to live. I absolutely have a reason to live. And he shared this with me. I talked to him later. And let me tell you, all those times that I questioned my existence, all those times that I suffered thinking that I was going to be lonely and miserable for the rest of my life, all those times that even after I went through that transformation that I felt like it was a great journey, but it's not unique. It was all wiped away because of one person, one moment, one time I opened my mouth through fingers, texting, writing a post. But a post and a picture was all that it took to save this man's life. And my question that I had to that point was, what does it matter if I share this story or not? And I realized that's the most important thing I can share. That is the absolute most critical thing that I can share. And I'm going to say the same thing about you. You may not understand in this moment that your story matters, okay? And there are ways to tell your story and all those things, and maybe I'll get to that in another video, but I want you to understand why you need to tell your story. Because your story could literally save someone's life. Telling my story one time saved somebody's life. And the same could happen to you. Is that not worth being a little scared, to go a little further, to be a little more vulnerable? My answer to you is yes, it is. Because we sit here in this world that we think that everybody around us is judging us, when the truth is, put yourself in their shoes, and what are they thinking? They're worried about what you think of them. Who are we to question the value of our own story? It's not up to us. It's not up to us. So please, I beg you, own your story, own your past, the things that you suffered through, the things that you find difficult accepting. are the things that make you great. And it's verbalizing that or writing it down or sharing it in pictures or whatever creative expression works best for you. You have to do it. Because the value of your story and your experiences, it's not up to you. It's up to everyone else. Not everyone else. It's up to the people who connect with you. Not everyone will, but the ones who do. I didn't save everyone's life with that post. I don't know if I ever have since. But I tell you, that one moment in 2015 changed my entire perspective on life, on purpose of my life. And I just encourage you to do the same. So think of one way that your story has made you who you are. The good things, the bad things, the traumas. What are the craziest things that you've done? Right? What are the things that you've done that not many people do? And I don't care if other people have done it. If it's unique, you did it in your own way too, right? Tell that story. And if you struggled, tell that story. Not from a context of woe is me, but from a context of let this experience, this struggle mean something to you. How can I help you? Right? That's my challenge to you. Think of one way that you could take your story. What has made you you? Take your story and go help someone.